Yo, what's up, folks? This Impact, and I want to take this time to welcome you all back to the Hurt Business 101. Let's get right into this video, man. Today's video, I want to discuss the card that PBC put together, their first pay-per-view event on Amazon Prime, featuring Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora, Romero versus Esau Pitbull Cruz. Let's get right into this video. Listen, before this video drops, man, I just want to let y'all know I'm happy to be back. And I was gone for a minute. Took my family on a vacation, a nice cruise. We was going for about 10 days altogether. I left the day of the card, so I wasn't able to even watch the fights. And between the flight and then boarding the cruise ship and bouncing on and off these islands, I did not have an opportunity to even try to catch the full fight to give you guys a recap, but I didn't want to give y'all a bullshit recap based off of highlights. So listen up, man. I'm gonna just do both of the fights in this one video because it's not a whole lot to discuss, and I don't want to string this out any longer than it needs to be because I got other videos to drop for you guys about fights coming up and it's a couple topics. But listen up, man. We're gonna get into this video right now. I want to discuss the undercard between Esau Pitbull Cruz and Rolly Romero. Listen, not much there. Some guys in the comment section during the breakdown did state that they were gambling. They were going to put their money on Rolly Romero. They thought he would be able to be too big and strong for Cruz and he would beat him. I hope you guys didn't get hit upside your head too hard. Like I said before, it is a difference between doing breakdowns and predictions and gambling. Sometimes I understand with gambling, you're going to go with the odds sometimes because you got a better opportunity to get a big gain if somebody pulls off an upset. So, betting on Cruz wasn't the smart thing there because you had very little to gain for your money. So I hope you guys didn't get hurt. Everybody's rents and mortgages still got paid. Let's get into it. Listen, Esau Pitbull Cruz just was a better fighter than Rolly, and I knew that. That wasn't no secret. The odds reflected that. But he did it exactly the way I thought he would do it. I actually thought he would catch Rolly Romero winging his shots, catch the shots on the glove, keep his guard up high, chin down, and everything tight. Once once Rolly's glove made contact with his guard, he would return fire whatever side that Rolly threw that shot from. He would return fire. It's called a catch and shoot or pick and pop, whatever you want to call it. And he would catch the shot and shoot a hard looping shot right back before Rolly would be able to get his guard back because most of the time Rolly is uneducated. He's a bit sloppy sometimes and awkward. He won't get his guard. His punches don't always go. His punches don't come from his guard to his opponent and right back. He drops the hand after he throws it. He poses and he looks to do other things like that. He makes a lot of mistakes. He's just a strong fighter, and Cruz took advantage of that. Cruz was able to throw those shots, and one thing Rolly did not do is what I thought he should do, and that was take it, be patient for the first. Try to just get through the first few rounds, just getting the cadence on them shots and trying to keep his distance a bit, and then trying to catch Pitbull, force Pitbull to be first. And he didn't do that. And I didn't expect him to do that. I just thought that was a strategy he should employ. He's just not that good of a fighter. He's a strong guy that's awkward, and if he catches you, he can hurt you. But other than that, if you're a 12-round disciplined fighter, somebody like Pitbull Cruz, who actually is a 12-round fighter, he comes in with a game plan and can implement his game plan and stick to a game plan. You have some punch resistance to you, and you got some pop and some skill. Rolly is not going to be a problem for you. And Pitbull definitely proved that, listen, I'll keep my chin down, just like I predicted that he should do in the breakdown. Chin down, tight guard, wait for Rolly to make contact, return fire. Ultimately, that's the way he was able to hurt Rolly and get Rolly in trouble and actually get him out of here, and the referee stopped the fight. And I did believe it would be more of a stoppage KO than just a one-punch one hitter quitter down and being sleep type of knockout. That's what I believe would happen. And, it was just something that Rolly couldn't do nothing about. Rolly doesn't have the type of the type of talent to be able to beat a guy like Cruz, unless he lands like a one-punch knockout. Cruz completely dog walked him and beat on him until the end. It wasn't a close matchup. It was nothing really technical for me to break down. It was catch and shoot heaven. It was get low, wing shots over the top of Rolly's guard, come down, chopping him down over his temple to his chin, and it was just a beat down. But come on now, let's get into the main event because I really want to talk about this one. Listen, we had Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora. First of all, congratulations to Sebastian Fundora. You got the victory. And I really hope you guys do it again because that fight deserves a rematch for a couple reasons. Let's get right into that, man. From the beginning, I'm not going to bullshit you guys. Sebastian Fundora had no answer for stopping. Now, I'm not saying that it couldn't have developed over time, but I've been following this stuff and studying this stuff and participating in this sport. I've been around this thing for a long time. And I can tell when a guy has nothing, no answers for it. Tszyu, over those first couple rounds, although Sebastian Fundora tried to use his jab and try to fight at range a little bit, he had no answers for keeping Tszyu on the outside. Tszyu was just able to slip to the outside of his jab and come and hit him with straight right hands with no problem. I mean, Fundora was trying, and he's not used to fighting like that. So it was very understandable that he wouldn't be able to keep a guy like Tszyu at bay when he's not a guy that uses that height like that. Like if he was one of those tall, rangy guys that uses his jab and knows how to take those steps back and uses his length to keep a guy off of him and then keep the fight at the range, he would have been a nightmare for Tszyu. But his height, in my estimation, wouldn't make that big of a difference because of the way he fights. And him not being comfortable fighting off the back foot and navigating around his opponent and using that jab, using his hard straight shots and stuff like that, I knew that Tszyu would be able to get to him. And Tszyu was battering him. I mean, some of those shots he was catching him with. Now, credit to Fundora. Fundora actually, it was like he was getting hit by the shots, but the shot didn't come from an angle where he couldn't see it and he got clipped and he wasn't like bent down. When he got hit, he did do a good job of staying straight up when he was getting hit by those shots from Tszyu. So whatever work they did, and whatever he learned from fighting from his knockout loss to Mendoza, as far as coming down, trying to come down too low to his opponent's height and getting caught with something on the chin, he kind of corrected that. At least in the beginning of the fight, it seemed like he was staying high, almost like how Emmanuel Stewart, rest in peace, he would teach his tall fighters, the tall, rangy guys, to maintain their height, even if they fight on the inside a little bit, stay tall. And he did that. That's how he wasn't able to. He didn't get hit with that shot on his chin early on that he didn't see. And he tried to keep Tszyu. Tszyu was walking through it. He did a good job at dipping to the side of Fundora's right-hand jab and catching Fundora with his straight rights down the middle, popping Fundora's head back. He also broke Fundora's nose, bloodied up his mouth. And in my estimation, the first 2 to 3 rounds, that was looking like we get into the middle rounds, Fundora was going to break down. But right on cue, and no fault of Fundora's. Listen, he's fighting, and ultimately the elbow that Fundora landed on Tszyu that cut his head, and that was a nasty gash. You'd be hard pressed to find a fight throughout boxing where that much blood was going into a guy's face, into a guy's eyes, and the fight wasn't called. But anyway, that elbow, it was inadvertent, nothing malicious there. And actually, it was Tszyu stepping in that caused it, because Tszyu was coming in, and at the same time, and it wasn't a hard elbow. It didn't look like a really hard elbow. It's just that, Fundora's, he's skinny as shit, man. That sharp elbow came across his head, and that's all it took. And it opened him up like a can of tuna fish. You know what I'm saying? And that blood was just gushing out, coming down in his face. And be honest with you, if I'm being honest with myself, before that cut, it looked like Fundora, a little bit of doubt started setting into, you know what I mean? Like not fear or anything, but a little bit of doubt because he's trying to use his jab and trying to stick to whatever game plan they use, and it wasn't working. So he was really quick. To me, it seemed like he was on the verge to saying, fuck it, I'm going back to what I do. Because he didn't seem to be comfortable with getting hit with those shots. And then when he got hit with that hard shot, the one that I believe is the shot that broke his nose, it reeled him back to the ropes. He didn't like that, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure he was uncomfortable fighting like that, trying to stay tall and long and using his range like that. And I thought he was right in the verge at that moment to going to just reverting back to himself and fighting on the inside, trying to throwing the uppercuts from medium range and fighting in tight, you know what I mean, blow for blow. But right on cue, the elbow landed. And once he seen the blood, that gave him a boost because you seen his energy pick up after that. Like the blood was so much blood, he like, I have an avenue here. In Tim Tszyu's camp, I do want to speak about Tim Tszyu's camp. That's inexperience. It's no way. See, in their estimation, I know what they was thinking. It don't matter. See, and sometimes your own arrogance as a team can come into play because they thinking it don't matter. Tim Tszyu gonna ultimately get the Fundora. He gonna catch him with something to knock him out. But what they don't realize is blood loss and the cuts. The reason the cut is a problem, even though it's not on the eye, it's in the top of the head, right above the eye. So all of the blood, and in that area up there at your cranium, all the blood flow goes up to the top of your head. It's the top of your head and the bottom of your feet. I mean, everything is going. It meets there. So when you get up there, you got a lot of those, those vessels and stuff like that up there. That's going to create blood, and they weren't able to get under control. And technically, it wasn't his cutman's fault. You can't get that under control. That's just one of those things that it is what it is. You just got to try to clean it off in between rounds. Maybe try to pack it. You know what I mean? And try. But once it gets contacted, the blood was starting to leak again before he even came back out to the ring. If they would have stopped it by the fourth, if they would have stopped it, it would have been a no contest. If they would have went into like the fifth and called it, they would have been able to go to the cars. And at that point, Tim Tszyu has the victory. But once again, hey, Fundora did nothing wrong. He actually started using his length again, using his jab on the outside, using his straight punches. He was also able to start landing some of those uppercuts. Now, Tim Tszyu was still catching him with shots, but Tim Tszyu's pawing at the blood. He can't see. And that kind of changed the trajectory. That cut is what made it a competitive fight, to be honest with you. It looked like it was on the verge to a stoppage in Tim Tszyu's favor, a badass kicking. And toward the middle rounds, it seemed to me, without that cut, Fundora was going to get beat down. But the blood is what gave us the more competitive fight, because now it's back and forth. And it also goes to show you Fundora can't really hurt Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu was very sturdy, because he was hitting Tim Tszyu with some good hard shots, and Tim Tszyu was blinded. So aside from you getting hit with the hard shots, you can't really see. You know what I mean? So you also can be hit with shots that you can't see. And if Fundora had the ability to stop Tim Tszyu, we would have saw it right there. But listen, Fundora did nothing wrong. I want to see those guys get back in the ring. Listen, the fans in Australia, do not. I know you guys really still support your fighters to the wheels fall off, but listen, Tszyu, one hell of a warrior. I do fault his team. Tszyu did what fighters do. They say, I can continue, I can see, I can continue, but it's up to his corner and the doctors, which that's a whole nother subject, to get in there, stop the fight, and do that thing all over again. But now we'll see where Sebastian Fundora goes from here. Him and Tim Tszyu are on suspension for their injuries. Tszyu is on suspension from the cut to his head. Fundora is on an even longer suspension for the broken nose. So let's see where this thing goes, and hopefully we get the rematch. Listen up, folks. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to this edition of the Hurt Business 101. You know what they say. It's no business like show business. but I say it's no business like the hurt business. 1-0-1, done.